rush that the Silas have taken away. So I think from the ultimate point of view, Diplex are happy with all he can steal so far, even the Nautilus.
Yeah, completely. And I feel like it's one of those things where he sets the tone now to almost, you don't want to give him too. I mean, there's an argument you'd give him so much to choose from, you don't know what to pick. But I feel like you're kind of locked into positions whereby you don't want to feed into that theme of the Silas. I feel like Silas is one of those champions where a tone has been set by Vitality.Bee, I think, going into their R5.
I think Vitality could have gone for two options here. One being the Braum itself, because it's really good into it. I mean, it's really good disengage into Nautilus, but also the shield blocks the Seraphine ultimate, so it doesn't travel through all your team. And the other option would have been you go for something that roams the map, teams up with Skeens. But even then, Braum and Bel'Veth moving together is really potent because of Bel'Veth's attack speed. But enough about that. Skarner coming through from Zanzara.
That's a Zanzara classic. That's a Zanzara classic.
And we did see Skarner getting picked up in the LEC just last week as well from Syncroft playing it too. So this is a champion that still has its function. It becomes kind of irrelevant as later we go into the game. You kind of just a ultimate bot and you force out the QSX. The good old Taxman coming through for Zanzara, of course. But if we're talking comfort, that might just be his most comfortable champion outside of the Trundle.
Yeah, I think Trundle and Skarner, sort of the two champions we saw him just play time and time again. He was just bringing that a much more facilitator style than we're used to seeing. And I feel like it's nice to see him back on that. It's obviously, we see Trundle get banned time and time again, and then he'll go towards things like the Java and things like the Volibear as well, stuff that can just play that kind of high, low econ style, a lot of ganking. Skarner, I feel like, is it the case that this is a good game for Skarner, or is it the case that we're going to start seeing more of Skarner? Because obviously, like you said, we saw it in LEC.
I actually think Skyner might be decent into a champion like Bel'Veth, where, a lot of it's about scaling. If you get picked into skirmish...
I know that Rammus is apparently a really good Bel'Veth counter.
Yes, Rammus is apparently a really good one, and it's because she obviously has all her attack speed amplified, and with the, on mail and just W passive coming through from Rammus, she kind of just completely take care of herself in that regard. Right side bans is little iffy. It's not a Kha'Zix coming through. It is, of course, the Bel'Veth in the jungle instead. But still, Sugenda back on the Gwen. Also something we've seen loads of time.
Yeah.
And into the GP, he's going to be having such a comfortable time.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that that's completely the case. GP, quite difficult to kind of operate that lane in the vulnerability that Gwen has. I feel like with this new champion, the Bel'Veth, one thing that I wanted to bring it back to is we talked about at the top of the day. This is a champion that demands a little bit less kind of push and pull from the laners. It kind of needs to be allowed to do its own thing. Do you feel like Vitality.Bee has the setup in these lanes to kind of not necessarily have the same facilitation as a Skarner might do?
I think they might be struggling a little bit with some of the extra facilitation that hits when Zanzara hits level 6. But we'll get our answers very soon. We'll throw it to a quick promo video and we'll be right back in game.
We're into the game now for our second game of the day. First day of the week. Misfits Premier versus Vitality.Bee. Vitality.Bee obviously 2 games in front. I think it would be fair to say after a lackluster by their standards Super Week, now on a relatively high win streak in comparison to Misfits Premier, who had a very good Super Week and could kind of not quite reciprocating their same success during that week, but still looking a lot more formidable, at least in comparison to their first couple of weeks of competition.
Oh yeah, I mean, truly that right there. But I also think we already know the circumstances they had. We talked about it a little bit, but if you're unfamiliar with them, they of course were in a situation during off-season where they promoted their top laner Irrelevant, and Hirid was supposed to go back and play for the LFL team. Unfortunately, Hirid declined that position, and Misfits Premier were put in a position where Irrelevant was going to have to play all the games unless they found a sub as soon as possible to go in and play for them. So it took some time. They got Kakas in very last minute. And after that regard, had to gel together, had to spend some extra time. Was potentially at a little bit of a deficit in terms of time spent with their teammates as towards the rest of the teams we had in the LFL. But now moving into this game, moving forward to this game, as you said yourself, splendid Super Week. Little iffy last week, but that's just how it goes. All Misfits are looking for is moving forward into the playoffs.
You're really starting to embrace the fact that you cast with a person from the UK, using words like splendid. We need to...
Should I use Danish words instead?
Well, no, because then no one would understand you. It wasn't a criticism. I was just saying I like it.
Okay.
I think words like stupendous as well you can use. That's good.
I think that's way too out of line for me.
Oh, really? Well, you know, it's all about getting yourself out of your comfort zone, you know?
Yeah, maybe. What does stupendous even mean?
Stupendous. I mean, it's like superb.
Sounds like in a Harry Potter spell.
I suppose so, yeah.
But also, taking the talking point to Vitality.Bee instead, let's talk a little bit about this Bel'Veth, because you asked me, will it have the same kind of prowess in terms of facilitation of the lanes into the likes of Skarner? I think it's a unique matchup. I think that there are other junglers that's not Skarner that would have had a way easier time influencing the lanes while Bel'Veth is full clearing. Both junglers at this point in time is going to be moving forward to that level 6, and I hold my tongue just a little bit as botlane goes from skirmishes to their level 2. But to go back to the subject, Skeens is just going to look to full clear. That first herald is really what's most important, and we're going to track the rotations from bot laners as well, moving forward to that. But essentially, both junglers are looking to hit level 6 before they really do anything.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. Both junglers being very much locked into that position. Obviously, Skarner really needs to get something working. I feel like when you get that level 6, it's obviously way before the time that any sort of QSS, any sort of cleanse is going to be available on the map. So, oh, it's a lovely hook there from Vander. Does get buffered by the E. The exhaust does come out from Jack Troll. He's going to use that W, Unbreakable Shield, to try and find it. But he's actually going to get flash forward from Vander. This is a 2v2 kill for Woolite and Vander. And a bit of an overstep there from Jack Troll. You felt like almost after the hook gets avoided by Jeskler, they have no place trying to contest the wave.
Yeah, I mean, that teamwork between the bottom laner there for Vitality, it just wasn't there. And Woolite and Vander, they capitalized on it immediately. Skeens now not on wards, can try and look for something here. There's no flash on Vander if they're looking.
He's going to have to make use of these cardinal directions. He's already used forward, and there is no going back now. Knockup does come out, and that's going to be a kill for Bel'Veth. The opposite side of the map, you can see the pings come out from Zanzara. He wants to try and set up a potential dive here, or play for the respawn camp. It does look like it's just going to be a ward for that. He has circled around.
But that's huge from Skeens. We talk so much about how when you pick this jungler, you need to get yourself going, and finding a kill 3-6 as well. Really putting yourself ahead the curve. That's going to be something to look forward to. We need to track Skeens in this game, follow his path, follow his leads as well, and specifically, once again, his objectives. They're so important for Bel'Veth. If you're not familiar with it, well, a lot of Bel'Veth's extra attack speed comes from the champion's takedown, or some of the major objectives like the Herald, like getting access to your true form. You can only get access to when you hit level 6. That's really what we're looking for Skeens. And obviously having laners that has push prio, laners where you won't get disrupted or counter jungled or messed around with, is exactly what Bel'Veth wants.
Yeah, completely. We spoke about how you sort of don't want to have to cater towards too many lanes now. And although it did look like a bit of a disaster class in the bot side, you were thinking now with the lead from Woolite and Vander, and obviously the wave being there, I think it was really important, like you're saying there, that Skeens was able to find that kill right at that moment. Otherwise, I feel like he'd always be playing kind of second fiddle to the bot lane, at least for the next 5-10 minutes or so.
Oh yeah, but once again, even for the Skarner, it's about finding that movement forward in terms of experience up towards the top side of the map. Sugenda never really got dove, and I think a mistake a lot of people are making in a matchup like this with Gwen and GFin, specifically when you know you're not going to get a lot of resources from your jungler, is trading too much. Sugenda knows that a lot of it's just going to be about him out-farming, taking the proper trades when you have the EQ ready and available to get the proper trading back without taking too much damage back. As so, and then you just back away. You don't want to continue with the auto attacks. You just want to get that instantaneous trade, move away. Because if you go down to that level where both of you are incredibly low, but Samsara is there to gank first, well, you put yourself in a really bad position in terms of the wave state and the lane state. As you can see right now, Samsara is up in the top side.
Yeah, he gets spotted out by a ward here, though. Sugenda crashes that wave, tries to stay a little bit longer.
I really think he's one of the better top laners we have. I think he understands the matchups, how he's supposed to play, the game state as well. Very well up there in the top side.
Yeah, completely agree with you in that way. There, you can see obviously plays for the crash there, backs off, obviously looking for a slightly stronger iron reset. Doesn't back on the crash there. Is wary that Zanzara is in the area. Just plays a little bit safer back, and it's going to mean that with that time investment on the top side, Vitality can translate that into a dragon. They're just so good. I feel like as the weeks go on, they're so good at like avoiding any danger in the early game, is what I really get the feeling.
Yeah, I mean, outside of what we saw from the bottom lane, I'd agree with you, right? those shaky signs of life, but we've always said
I think Jack Troll can be a bit of a liability sometimes with that in fairness.
I think it's interesting. I think Vitality.Bee's strength has always been their solo laners, and then at their times we see how the bottom lane shows up too. But the most consistent factor for sure every time has been the top side of the map.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. I feel like so again, one of the more prominent carry players, I think, in the league. I think, if not the most. I don't know where you stand on that. I think we were talking about how we kind of went role by role about a week ago, and we were talking about it. And I think for both of us, again, they're just a really strong individual performer in a lot of these games.
I think that's
not just on carries as well. I think that Ornn game
the thing.
Especially.
He's legit one of the best Ornns we've seen. But I also think it's a good talking point between him, Capuchon, and even Melonic after the games we saw last time. Melonic was absolute beast against Capuchon on his GP.
Don't forget Ragnar.
And that, I mean, we have way too many good top laners in this league. Like, it is very difficult to not track that. But something we did have to track was Rift Belt. And now, with mid lane pushing in, top side potentially being pushed in by Zigenda 2, and Skeen, who's hit that level 6, but with the possibility of moving up towards Herald, they can just start it up for themselves uncontested. No bot lane movement is coming through for this one.
Yeah, and this will be absolutely huge here. I believe it's the case that you get the ascended form from Rift Herald. I forget. Remind me what the thing is called that it True form. But what's the thing it drops called?
Oh, that's the I think the coral, deadly corals, lavender.
Deadly corals. I was tempted. Skarner ult is going to be used. That's a double Skarner ult both ways, kind of locked in place there. No movement, static. He's going to be the aim of the game here. Shayak picks up a kill here. Gangplank ult was used as well here. Kaxos over to the side here, trying to get Shigenda here. Let's get him here, and it's a rare misstep for Vitality.Bee. He's going to get stunned over the wall here. Skeens trying to use those cardinal directions to guide himself out here. Shayak gets exhausted, but there's nothing more exhilarating than finding these early kills on Yone. He gets 2 kills, and he puts out a massive performance in this early game.
That right there, that's so big for Chai. The fact that he puts himself ahead of the curve in a matchup that's Yone into Silas too, incredible. At first, it looked good from Diplex or Schemes. They want to get a pickup onto towards Ansara, but they don't have the amount of damage to just kill him immediately. Because of that, he flashes out of the way, he sets the path for Chayak, he finds the 2 kill, and afterwards Misfits from here coming through with the rotation, and they solidify, they fight for themselves. Not only that, they give the Rift Herald, and they shot down the Belveth in the early game, which was exactly what they needed.
So we see this is a very weird interaction. It is the Skarner v Skarner ult. We're sort of just both locked in place, and this just sets up Shai to just get it and do that damage onto Diplex, and then just sort of play out the fight from this point onwards. You saw Kaskos comes out with a very good rotation here. They get Shigenda, and then even beyond this, Vander with the move. He's so much quicker in terms of being on the map there, and it means they can get the final piece of the puzzle there as well. And it was a Void Coral is the thing that drops for Belva.
Void
I just looked it up.
There we have it. It's called Deadly.
I was gonna call it a Chaos Emerald. I don't know why. I've been playing Sonic recently, so
collecting Chaos Emeralds. I like it. Well, crucially, Skeens didn't pick up a single Chaos Emerald there. Had they found 1 kill, and he would have
dropped a lot of rings. He dropped a lot of rings though.
Oh, he for sure dropped a lot of rings in that regard, and he's gonna be having to backtrack and pick them all up again. At least, you know, going back to the Wolf Day, wait for the next objective. See if he can get himself ahead in that regard there.
Completely. And I feel like now they're in a position whereby this next dragon can stop and slow down the dragon acquisitions that have been happening in this game so far. Obviously, Vitality.Bee picked up that early dragon, was able to translate that with the time expenditure from Skarner in that early game. But now with the Rift Herald, with their eyes on the prize of this second dragon, I feel like this is really a time in this next minute or so where Misfits Premier can start to ramp up the gold lead.
Yeah, importantly from Misfits Premier, the objective they gave up, or the kills they gave up in the early game was, once again, 3 level 6 on Belveth, so she didn't really get a value out of that. And now with the Rift Herald gone over to Misfits and the roam timing favoring Shavik, they're just going to be able to set up this bot lane turret first. They get the tempo, they get the Herald, and they should get a little bit of play to as well.
You can see it's almost... Well, Vitality.Bee clearly operating under the game plan that they're not going to be able to get their kind of hands on this. You can see that Belveth clears up the Krogs there, goes back to base. 10 seconds into the Dragon. If they're going to be contesting it, it's going to be a rather late affair.
And reset timers as well coming through. Later, the Rune King has just been picked up by Skeen. So, as you said, with these reset timers, they may just be giving up the second Drake to Vitality here. Woolite's still in base. Diplex is around the mid lane. Might get a engaged on.
Ultimate's going to miss onto Diplex, unfortunately. Otherwise, you imagine that Zanzara would have been there to pick that up. Q comes out from Vander. Skarner ult is going to drag Jack Troll into the turret there. He's unfortunately going to be taken out there. Gangplank ult was used as well. And you see time and time again, these ults being exchanged back and forth here between the Silas and whoever he has taken the ultimate from. Now with this extra added pick, this can be the case of Misfits. Trying to find a little bit of space around this dragon. You see teleport comes out from Jeskler. Skeens is waiting in the wings, seeing who can pick up on a rotational play.
Yeah, Chayek quite low here. They might look for the 2 versus 2.
Ooh, Diplex has gone in here. Skeens is going to have to try and find a kill here. He picks up the Void Coral on the floor here, but doesn't have much space to work with here. Going to have to dodge out from a Q. Ezreal ult does go wide, unfortunately, here. It's another kill. Diplex does drop down there. He had the kind of resurgence of aggression there, where he went in rather aggressive. He just gets immediately ignited by Vander, and that just meant that, you know, he can't get that Conqueror healing, can't get that W healing, and he just gets taken out rather quickly.
But it does mean that Skeens might be able to finally pick up a Void Crawl for himself, or a True Form, get access to it at least here with the pickup on the Drake afterwards. So the Drake stacking still in favor of Vitality, but on the gold side instead, they are falling behind. 2k gold lead now over to the side of Vitality.Bee, and there you have it. True Form coming through from Skeen. Getting a little more access to some of the damage we see, but he's going to be able to pick this up before a fight or with a champion takedown to really come through later on into the game. 4-0 on Chayek. That's the big one in this game. That's the eyes. That's where we need to keep our eyes peeled.
Yeah, Chayek may as well be 2-pack at this point because all eyes are on him. All eyes on me. One of my favourite songs, actually, Google.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Little fact about me. Don't know if you know that.
No, but I learned so much from you, so I appreciate that.
That's good. What is your favourite song?
Right now, it's Cracker Islands by Gorillaz.
Really?
New release.
I remember we spoke about that. We're a big fan of the Gorillaz, both of us.
And, it just reminded me a lot of the old stuff that I did appreciate. Now, looking at rotations on the minimap, you can see.
Do you think it's fair to say that with this kind of a deficit so far, that Vitality.Bee are in their demon days?
They for sure are in some of the darker days here. That is
washed up on the plastic beach.
My God, you can keep them coming, can't you?
I think so. Shigenda definitely not feeling good. Incoming is Zanzara with an ultimate. Drags into the turret. Shigenda. He's going to get taken out by... Zanzara's the one who picks up the kill there. Yeah, that's a world of hurt goes the way of Shigenda here. And Misfits Premier continue to rack up the gold in the side lane.
And I think with this Belveth pick coming in, a lot didn't change in the regard that, you know, she's obviously been picked in terms of the playstyle you're playing with it. As we talked about earlier, when you have this, it's very much about the laners facilitating the champion, you know, looking for skirmishes through the jungler, in the jungle. Instead, it's still a very individual playstyle that in the past had success from Vitality. When Skeen has been there to shadow them on the Belveth, that has not been the case. But Jack Troll and Skeens, maybe they can find Cactus.
He's going to be using those cardinal directions, goes in onto Cat Scoss. Jack Troll trying to find the Brawn passive here. They do get it. He's going to drop down. Zanzara doesn't have the ultimate available, does have a flash if he wants to go for a little stun here. They do defend that Void Coral, and that's going to mean that moving towards that True Form going to be delayed slightly. And they're also going to get the Rift Herald.
Now moving forward again, Diplex has gained move as well. So again, they're looking for Zanzara. Zanzara still no ultimate.
Chayek misses the ult. Ignite has been used by Shigenda. Vander goes quite low as well. Woolite. Q from Jack Troll goes wide. Need to try and slow down what Misfits Premier is doing. You see the flank off the side here. Diplex goes in. It's massive. Big Everfrost comes in as well. He's been ignited. The healing's not quite coming out. Diplex finds Woolite. Fanskarner as well. Find a little bit more. Q, that's the Ezreal who finds Nautilus off to the side there. And Misfits Premier, their game falls apart here, Gorborg.
But that is just on the back of an engage by Diplex in the back there. He finds the flank. Not sure if he was on vision. I think they did have to press enough minds that he was going to come around, but potentially didn't expect the impact he was going to drop. Finds the Nautilus ultimate into the Everfrost and just sets his team up for success. Fantastic by the mid lane of Vitality.
Yeah, completely. I think we see how this fight unfolds. Chayek, so much gold in his pocket, goes in with the E, misses the ult on Shigenda. This means that Shigenda can just operate as such a front line here, in contrast to what Woolite can really offer in terms of the healing.
Crucially, Diplex was using his sweeper, so that ward in the river never actually saw him. So that's why they didn't have the intel. He flashes forward, finds the Everfrost, kills Woolite, and the rest is just history with the members of Misfits getting rallied up as they can just turn to the Rift Herald afterwards.
Yeah, completely. And I feel like really Misfits Premier, with so much of that gold, like we've said previously, being on Chayek, he has to make an impact. And Diplex is just, you know, he's just putting out, like in that team fight especially, I don't think it's the case for the game thus far, but in this team fight, despite being so down in terms of resources he's been given, he's being the difference maker for Vitality.Bee, and I feel like that's a real testament to just the kind of player he is.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is, and we've talked about him so many times, multiple times as well. And I thought it was going to be a Chayek when we were talking about the mid laners here, but apparently, you know, he just can't leave that spotlight go untouched.
Absolutely. I agree with you there, Goldborg. I feel like saying it again, kind of 4-0 now, obviously moving towards that second item. And they had their chance, they had a shot, and you feel like almost Misfits Premier, something they can be accused of is just not quite pushing these advantages the full distance a lot of the time. One, obviously, fruitful thing now for Vitality.Bee is going to be that Void Coral, enhanced Void Coral, I believe it is, from the Rift Herald. And correct me if I'm wrong, this means now that any sort of minions that he kills around him will then be generated into repossessed minions, no?
So I think you can see it here, yeah. So as skins move into the mid lane, if they get access to any of the kills, so you can already see them now. They will be small little voidlings running around there, which is great if you want priority into a mid lane and you want to siege, especially specifically for Drake.
Zara, Seraphinolt misses. That's going to be the engage that comes out from Vander. Skeens trying to get a little repossessed of his own here. Shyek's gone in. Stasis was granted by Jack Troll. He's not gotten anything again, and it is going to be just Vander who dies. Fortunately, Chayek goes in for an engage, but Jack Troll with a very good time stasis there means that it's another fight that can't quite go the way of Misfits Premier.
I would have to see it in the replay, but I do believe that Chayek cancelled out the scan ultimate.
X-Tech, this is good. E over the wall from Chayek. It's a good angle. Teleport came in there from Woolite as well, and it's a good little Hex-Tech flash over the wall from Zanzara. Finds a very good angle.
I like this from Misfits Premier though. They're waking up, they stop the Drake stacking, they look for plays afterwards, they find a few kills, looking great for Misfits, they strike back.
I think we're at a point now where Misfits Premier is still in the lead, and we're heading more and more to the sense that you have to pay that tax soon, surely. If you're someone like Jester, you don't have the cleanse, you're going to have to pay the... You're really the only... I feel like, forgive me if I'm wrong, unless it's an isolated sort of very specific scenario in the side lane, in a straight-up engage, Ezreal's the really one who's ever really in danger of a Skarner ult. Would I be correct in saying that, Corborg?
I think all of them are, essentially. It's really easy to get... Yeah, I mean, Belveth getting Skarner ult at one shot as well. That's a potential to go for. Getting Diplex as well together with the CC you have. I mean, I think you can go for legit anyone. You just don't want to go for Jack Troll. I mean, you even can, but he's not going to be as high value. And speaking of Jack Troll, he's behind Woolite here that does have no flash.
No flash quite yet. Just waiting out for it. Skarner's not going to be able to help him at all. That's a shame because that flash is literally just coming up now. Give Shyek a little bit of space to work in the top side, and there's obviously not going to be anyone to respond to the mid lane turret falling.
Alright, it also lets them cross map, so obviously as soon as Skeen's got that kill, he made his way down towards the bot side of the map, which means that Kakas now had to fall back, forfeiting the lane to Sigenda. So they might be trading turrets here, and Zara though might be looking for more.
Oh, good Everfrost. A good Everfrost from Diplex, really just covered as much space as possible there. You knew it was going to be a slow, you knew he was going to be able to kind of maneuver in and out with the E there, but very good angle from him. And like you said previously, this cross map has been set up. No one able to respond. Mid lane turret does drop, and bot lane turret as well. And it's 2 turrets in response for Vitality.Bee. Now in a position where the gold is pretty much dead even.
Again, they're waiting a little bit just for the minions to drop to the turret, so he's min-maxing, leaving as little resources as possible for the enemy to pick up here. So it's going to be the same way that Sigenda just be picked up, that Shayek's going to have left. Shayek 5-0 now on the Yone. Never say no-nay to the Yone. Has picked up that shield though and Infinity Edge.
Did you say never say no-nay?
To the Yone.
Is that a new... There's no way that someone else has said this before, and this is not just your...
No, that's me. That's me. That's mine.
Never say no-nay to the Yone.
To the Yone. Yep. That's the phrase.
That is the worst. No one's ever... Obviously, now that I've said that I hate it, everyone in chat is going to like spam it and be like, yeah, that's a good thing. That, you know, the Twitch chat are going to love it.
I mean, hopefully.
Good work, Goldborg.
Thank you. The friends of mine always use that one in a game with the Yone at least, but Now, moving on towards the map state, they are posturing around this Baron pit, mostly just for vision, and a fight may break out at any point in time now.
Skeens uses that compass direction, cues over the wall to the east. And further north afield do Diplex travel as he goes in to respond to this top wave. And like you're saying, Gorborg, you feel like as this next dragon comes down, Misfits Premier will want to respond and stop that soul point, stop themselves being moved into difficult positions, which we so often see them in the late game when they're having to make these decisions. So I would like to see them just, it's a bit of a rough reset time here from Zanzara, obviously not having the prerequisite vision. I feel like Vitality.Bee can just move up through this bot lane jungle now, just really set themselves up, nurture and develop like we've previously set the garden metaphor of.
I think Misfits are still in a position to contest this when they have that front line, and he's coming now.
Here comes Shayak in with the E. Not able to find too much. 2 items now. He's really a man to look at for Misfits Premier. He has to get something done, but it's so difficult for him to really do that. I feel like it has to be a combination of Skarner ult with Yone ult as well. Just immediately find that blow up and then play the fight from that point onwards with the sustain available to you from Seraphine.
I think as well, Diplex, he's going to be having multiple options in terms of picking an ultimate here. You can go for the Skarner, try and isolate Shayak. You can go for the team fight oriented one with the Seraphine ult. He's still lurking about. He haven't picked up a single one yet. Sugenda's on the flank. Rest of Vitality in the river. Drake has just spawned, and it's even ground for the two teams.
Even ground so far. You can see that dragon set aside, not quite knowing who to focus their attention towards. Now Vitality.Bee are the ones onto it. Shigenda is still in that flank, still just waiting to go. Doesn't have the ghost, has the ignite. Fight has been engaged. Shayak is keeping Shigenda out. That's going to be a massive barrel that takes out Jack Troll there from Katskos. Dragon does go the way of Misfits Premier. They do a good job of just keeping Shigenda away from the flank, playing the front side of the fight well as well. Shigenda was prevented from entering from Shayak. And that meant that they had to move into the gangplank there and they get the Dragon as well. This is exactly what Misfits Premier wanted.
It just felt like Vitality had no way of responding back. As soon as the hook came through on Jack Troll, he was just gone. Diplex stole the Nautilus ultimate. In the grand scheme... Well, that's unfortunate. In the grand scheme of ultimates you could have gone for in a teamfight setting, it didn't set you up for the fight. And in turn, Misfits Premier, they picked up the kill, they backed off, took the Drake, and there was no way Vitality.Bee could respond.
Yeah, completely. I feel like a lot of accountability there showed by Shayak in terms of his role. I feel like it's very
What's
Ooh, it's a teleport angle.
No vision, but you can see they smell it a little bit. Look at the minimap. People are going to be moving on.
Katskos has teleport. They're walking up here. They take it relatively quickly. It's down to 7k almost immediately.
This is going to be tricky. Top HP.
Vitality.Bee haven't accounted for the choke that Misfits Premier are going to be coming out from. Shigenda's got to get out of the pit now. Will they keep the aggro? They do keep the aggro. It's on 4k now. Shayak's over the wall now. He's almost found Shigenda. Ezreal comes out. True shot barrage. Shayak as he found Shigenda, but Shigenda's out of the fight now. Baron is still primed here, 2k, it's gone very low. Vander goes in for the counter engage, he's going to get taken out almost immediately. It's a good ultimate in response from Seraphine. Schemes almost taken out by the Skarner ultimate. Diplex goes into stasis now, they've got to take him out. He flashes away with an E, Shayak's over the wall as well, he flashes. Needs to find a little bit more damage, can't find the Q, gets whipped back into form, whipped back into shape. It's a malleable form that Misfits Premier have tried to find here. They funnel their way through the choke, not the position that was accounted for, and they stop the Baron. They're so close to finding a few extra kills of themselves here.
In the end, even trade out, but you can see it once again. It's so difficult for Vitality to find agencies in these teamfights because they just have no engage. On the side of Misfits Premier, they have so much to play around with. Skarner ultimate is a threat. You get the Nautilus, Seraphine, Shayak zoning away Sugender as well, who doesn't get to go in and be a threat by being immune and being in the face of his people. Let's see how it actually goes once again. It's Vander finding a hook, trading even because he's so very low. Ultimate gets traded on towards Sansara, and even though he's in the Void true form with true damage coming through as well, it just doesn't do enough. Diplex forced to retreat, and after that, nothing more comes out of this extended fight.
Back into the fray here, and it's going to be Jack Troll once again getting taken out here. I feel like it's heavily aggressive support game. Jeskla has the E available. It's a rather faulty ult there from Woolite. Obviously didn't see the E come down at any point there, so it's rather ambitious of him to throw that. But now with this added pick, you can imagine that some pressure is going to be thrown the way of the Baron.
Oh, might be
Zanzara
being the recipient
Gender's
of
over the
that.
wall, so close to getting taken by Zanzara's ultimate. Now with that chem tank and that dead man's play, he's just throttling on full gas. Mark 5. And mark my words, if that tax isn't paid, you can see that Jessica has now. As you said previously, Gulborg, some of these members, if they do get farmed by the Skarner ultimate, especially when his flash is back up in a few minutes or so, they're going to be in a lot of danger.
We certainly are. And crucially, only one member of Vitality has paid that infamous tax that we so often talk about, specifically into the Sansara Skarner. And it's just going to be a difficult one for Vitality.Bee in terms of the team fighting. It's not so much that they're doing worse, it's just that they don't have the tools in their draft to go for it, whereas Misfits, they have every tool to go for a team fight every single time. They have a fit mid laner to play for, and having Duelite as well on the Seraphine with the Rylai's, that just means that it's an interesting mechanic with Rylai's on Seraphine. Essentially, Seraphine's Ease obviously gets procced on a slow, then it turns to a root, then it turns to a stun. But if you buy Rylai's, the first one will already root you, and the second one will stun you immediately. So there's a big threat coming in from Woolite in terms of CC now as well.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. And we spoke about if you can layer that CC, just allow Shayak to do his job on this Yone. If they can get a fight like that, that's when the scales get tipped a little bit more. You can see that interaction coming out almost immediately there that Gulborg's just demonstrated to you, the lovely audience. I feel like Shayak, a lot of his roles in this fight has just been keeping Shigenda out, and he's not really had the chance to kind of find an aggressive engage. He's done it onto Jack Troll here. Jack Troll's going to get taken out almost immediately. Shigenda's in the fray now. Vander, it's an ultimate off to the side from Diplex, but it's not going to be what seals the deal in terms of taking out Vander. But here's the deal in response here. Shigenda gets ultimate up by the Zanzara. Just before this Dragon, 2 kills go the way of Misfits Premier, and it's like you said, Gulborg, that stun over the wall, the Rylai's. Jessica's got to get out of here. Like you said, Gulborg, they can take the fight whenever they want.
So much maneuverability from Misfits Premier. So many different options in a team fight. Where Vitality.Bee's options, they're so binary. Even when they pick up a kill there, they don't get the Troom for on towards Skeens. And that means that even in a continuous fight, he's not really, you know, leaving the mark that we know from a Belvoid from solo queue that's just running amok. She never gets that point where she really comes through with the true damage. You can see the Lavender does come down as soon as I think Vander's the one who's blown up. But Skeen, he's not going for it. As soon as that right thing is there, he's just not going for it. He knows he's going to die probably, and because of that, he's not moving forward. He's just going to back out. In turn, kind of then having you question why was this champion picked? Because I think this is definitely something in the draft as well that makes it very difficult for Vitality to play. Despite them having a few good signs every now and then.
Obviously, I think even more so, we talk about so much of their composition being granted by cooldowns. I think stacking these Hextech Dragons, having 18 added ability haste to a lot of that, it just gives them even more time, or less time to play with, almost, so to speak, in terms of how often they can go for these fights, the windows that Vitality.Bee can abuse. And it feels like as the game goes on, it's almost that window is shrinking. And it's a case of, can they get that open, or will they just find themselves jumping out of it?
I mean, yeah. It looks very difficult because it's just such a disadvantage as well from the drafting point of view. Misfits from here, everything in this game is easier for them. If Vitality.Bee comes back into this game, it's off the back of some miraculous fighting, but also Misfits from here messing up a little bit, allowing themselves to get picked up. Jack Troll ambitious again with the Glacial Fissure. Did it a couple times now, but the entire top side is just lit up by blue, pink wards, trinkets, ward, whatever you name it. Everything is in Misfits from year's favor. And all Vitality.Bee has going for them is again on the bot side.
Absolutely, but you can see it's starting to be a bit more of a back and forth. It's not Shigenda just dominating that side anymore. I feel like Catskoss now, beyond this level 13 point, now at the 3 items as well, moving towards that 4th. Once he gets that eye edge, obviously going to be even more dangerous. Diplex has gone for a little play on the bot side here. On the top side now, you can see this has been started. Shigenda has the teleporters available as well. They're going to get the one out. Good bit of restraint there from Shigenda as well. Waited to see if he was actually required there. They get the respect teleport out, and now the game goes back to neutral.
Yeah, but how long before they get the respect teleport as well from Shigenda? He's going to try and stay on the sideline. He's going to try and stay a threat. But the rest of Misfits Premier, they're not biting. And Kakas, he does have enough wave clear to deal with the threat Shigenda is pretending right now. Which is, I mean, not the biggest threat whatsoever in the grand scheme of things. Moving up towards the Baron again. no vision was cleared while Misfits from Year went on a reset timer, so they don't even have to, you know, reinvest all the pink wards they just bought. They can stay for way more dances now. They can start and take even more offensive vision control if they'd like.
Completely. It's just going to be a case now that Diplex can't respond to that. He's always going to have to be the one that's in the fray here. Never really able to kind of be on the other side of the map that you want to. Vanda might have gone a little bit too far forward here. They finally engage Zanzara, uses that Skarner roll, and can they get Skeens? They've got Skeens here. Shayak goes and finds an ultimate. He's trying to get Shigenda as well. He goes and tries. It's Diplex who's gone into stasis here. Shigenda dashes out, but he gets taken out. So does Diplex. This was the fight that Misfits Premier have been looking for so long now, and it's Shayak and Skarner, Katskos as well with a lot of these gangplank barrels. They find a beneficial fight. Flash forward from Shayak onto Jespler. One more Q. He's getting stunned up by Jack Troll. He's going to get whipped back immediately after the stasis. One more Q was literally all it would have taken. I'm loving the aggression from Shayak. We've never seen this before from him, I feel like, this year.
Level 17, he's just feeling himself. He's so fed on the Yone. He should be looking for these plays all the time. 18 just reached out of the Baron now. No one can match this guy. Not in a side lane, not in a team fight. Misfits Premier should be able to put the finishing touches on this game in just a bit with the Baron buff, and if that's not enough, well, Soul is coming up as well in just about a minute.
Soul will be key here. If Misfits Premier can secure that, it's going to give them so much ability to just seize up and really rout Vitality.Bee where they stand. Vitality.Bee going to be so hard pressed to kind of get into these engages here, get into these places. You can see Zanzara just not afraid to push up the vision line here as far as possible. He's going to get somewhat contested here. But even in the face of around about 3 people, he's still moving up. His team aren't even necessarily there to respond too quickly. You know they'll be at the bottom end of that exchange, but just so aggressive. And you can see that it's just such a devil-may-care attitude from Misfits Premier right now that you feel like they're so confident to take this game going forward.
Yeah, I mean, this should be unlosable for Misfits from Year right now. They have so much they can look for on an individual level, in a side, in setup levels, even just, well, on Jack Troll. Goodbye,
They're just going to take Jack Troll. It's simple as, you don't need to look for something complicated here. Yone goes in, Shayak going to take out Jespler as well, find himself a triple kill onto Skeens, I can imagine. And Shayak, we spoke about something of being probably had this lead. How was he going to translate in fights? We saw time and time again he was being the one that just kept Shigenda out, but now he's in a position where he just benefits so much from what his team is able to put on the plate for him. 3 kills now, 11, 0, and 4 now. An unexpected performer. I feel like he's had these standout games. In that upset during Super Week against Carmine Corp, it was him that was performing, but not necessarily. A lot of the time we look towards Wu-like to fill out these late game performances. I really feel like the extra attention needs to be brought towards Shayak and how impressive he's playing this game.
And we talked about the teams as well moving forward to a new patch. Sometimes some teams will just have a way better read going into new champions, new patches. And with the composition coming out from Misfits Premier with Woolite on the Seraphine and Shayak now on the Yone, everything's been looking fantastic.
Ooh, Seraphine ult does land onto Jack Troll as well there. Diplex unfortunately will not be helped by the stasis. It's a chase of status in this game, and the drums are coming down onto Jespler. He gets taken out. Shayak goes on a rampage. Shayak is legendary. Stasis, 4 Woolite available. Shigenda off to the side. They're just going to keep him away from this base. They're going to have the minion wave to take this game all the way. Misfits Premier moved to 6-6. They have got an equal record now, resurrecting their completely doomed early season and moving just 1 game outside of Vitality.Bee.
And what a performance coming through from Misfits Premier. I think a lot of people were expecting Vitality to be the favored team to go out